something that I love to do, which is using lots of pattern paper and breaking it down a little bit smaller, just so you guys have a different way of looking at really busy paper. I know it intimidates some people, so here we go. What I've decided to do is I'm actually using the Paige Evans Splendid 6x8 paper pad. As you know, I don't normally, sorry about my headphones sitting in the view as I'm doing this. I don't normally buy the 6x8 paper pad, but I loved so many of them, but I didn't want to get 12x12s. Why? Because the papers are quite busy and I don't normally use full sheets of busy paper the way that you would intend to use them, like as a background or something like that. So I went with the smaller paper pad, knowing that typically what I like to do with a smaller one, you get a smaller version of the print in a smaller paper pad versus the 12x12. So that I like more. And I also like to cut in strips or shapes or something like that with the really busy papers, because it kind of, even though look, at the very end, it looks very busy, it still looks busy, but it gives my eyes somewhere to rest on the page by having a bit of white space there. So keep watching and I'll show you how I do it. Now, what I'm doing at the moment is just cutting some 1/4 inch strips, and I know it's probably annoying watching me cut all these out, but if you're new to my channel, this is what I do. I leave the whole process in so you know exactly how difficult it really is. And 9 times out of 10, I find myself a stuff up in there somewhere, and you guys get to see, 1, how I stuffed it up, and 2, how I fixed it. So these squares are pink for a reason. Okay, something I have noticed over time and practice and all the rest of it, all I'm doing here is playing with configurations of the size of the square. That's all I'm doing here. Sort of seeing what is pleasing to my eye versus knowing that these squares are going to end up being quite busy with the strips of paper. Now, the reason why I've used pink squares is because when I turn it over, so I'm not using double-sided papers, okay? I'm using, so the 6x8 paper pad are single-sided pages, which is great because I hate having to make the decision which side I'm going to use. I hate doing that. So what I decided to do, sorry about my daughter sneezing in the background, I'm actually doing this voiceover first thing in the morning at like 7:30 because I have to take my other daughter to the hospital this morning and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm trying to do this morning, and my youngest child and my husband both have sneezing fits every morning, and they've done it for as long as I've known them. It's kind of like a hay fever thing, but they sneeze when it's cold and then they sneeze when we're in spring. So double whammy this morning. They get spring and cold weather. And the other thing, if you can hear anything in the background, is we are getting our road resurfaced. So they told us that they were starting this 2 weeks ago. They're finally given it a crack this morning. So before they get the big heavy machinery out, I thought I'd try and squeeze in a voiceover. So for the rest of the week, maybe 2, I will be doing my voiceovers at night time instead of in the morning. So what I'm doing, the reason why I've used pink squares, okay, you don't see the pink squares. In the end, you don't see them at all. But see when I turn it over, see how it's white and I'm looking at white? If that's a white square, it's so much harder to get a perfect cut. In my opinion, I have the worst eyesight on the planet. I I shouldn't say I've got the worst eyesight in the planet. I have succumbed to the fact that I have to wear glasses 9 times out of 10. I have to wear them all day, every day, and they drive me nuts. I hate having something on my face, but I have to suck it up, don't I? If I want to see and I want to scrapbook and I want to continue doing these smaller designs, it just is what it is. So I'm trying something else with this particular square. I thought I'd try the tear tape, but in all fairness, it was annoying and my hands were hurting, so that's just not going to work. So all I'm doing here, you can see how I've cut a plethora of different patterns, trying to sort of keep with the blues and greens and the yellows and oranges. That's sort of where I was going with this. Now, you know, if you use any of Paige Evans' papers, they all match. Whether you're looking at the Bloom Street, or if you're looking at Splendid, or it doesn't matter which one you're looking at, they generally match. So I sort of figured with this that I'm on a winner. It doesn't matter what paper I put next to each other, it's going to blend, it's going to work well. So I didn't make you watch all of these, especially just these straight, like doing a diagonal, easy, doing a straight, easy. So what I actually did, I stopped it for a minute, did a few extra of the straight squares, and then I started doing more of a it's more like a quilting design. And because they're all cut at the same thickness, you can create these designs really, really easily. Now, see how much easier it is to get it perfectly when you turn it over and you're not working with white on white. You're working with a colour. You don't see the pink at all whatsoever. So I didn't use my liquid adhesive on this one. So this one I'm doing a herringbone pattern. So it's so easy to do this, guys. Honestly, give it a try. If you've got some really busy papers, it doesn't have to be Paige Evans. If it's whatever it is, some busy papers that you've had in your stash and you've decided, I don't call mine a stash, I call mine a collection. That's just me making myself feel better for, for spending a fortune on paper. Shh, don't tell anyone. So basically you can have a look at any pattern you like. You can jump on Pinterest, have a look. Sorry, needed a drink. It's first thing in the morning and I've got the sorest throat this morning. Hope I'm not getting sick. Okay, so have a look in your collection. See what's really busy. See if you can coordinate some of them together. Cut them in thin strips. Trust me, this is so simple. The only thing that is difficult about this is the time to put them all together. That's all it is. You can sit in front of the TV at night time and make these squares up, and the next morning, bang, 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 you can put your page together in 5 seconds. It's not difficult. Sometimes I like to get all mixed media-y and all the rest of it. I didn't use a lot of mixed media. I did use ink. I used Uncharted Mariner in the Distress Oxide. I love that colour. Oh, it is so nice. I love all the teals and blues. I love all colour, I will be honest. I love yellow, Uncharted Mariner, peacock feathers, those teal and blues I love. But I also love, like your bundled sage and your crackling campfire and your fired brick, those real earthy colours. I love those too. So, yeah, I love it. Okay, so what I'm doing here, you're just watching me go through the process. Now, the reason I put this on here is to show you how simple it is to create a herringbone pattern with providing your strips are all of equal size this is the easiest thing on the planet to do. It really is. And it looks so effective, and it makes for a really pretty page, and it's really not as hard as you think it is. Like, it's actually really easy. So I go through now. I ended up cutting, how many did I do? 4, 8, 16. No. Is that what I did? 4, 8. Yeah, I did. I did 16 squares in the end. So I toyed with placement. I ended up switching off the video while I played with the cards and placement, because I don't know, that may frustrate some of you, that it took me a little bit to work out exactly how I was going to place these 2x2 inch cards. Okay, so all of these pink cards are 2x2 inch. The matting that I did underneath them, shortly you'll see that, it was 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So it totally, I just love it. It was so easy. I didn't have to think. It was, well, I did have to think when it came to placement, but it came together really well. What I am going to do, so this is something for you for the next video. So today's video that I'm going to record, which will come together so quickly, because I was playing last night while I was waiting for my camera to load onto my laptop, because I was trying to get all this done so I had my usual 5 a.m. load up for you guys, but I just got too tired. It was like 10:30 and my brain wasn't functioning, and I would have sounded like I was waffling rubbish and no one wants to hear that. So I decided that I would leave the voiceover till this morning, and even though I have to be at the hospital by 8:30, I can do this. I'll do the voiceover and then I will export it whilst I'm off at the hospital getting blood tests and stuff done on my poor child. This is my daughter that has a couple of medical issues. So yeah, it's a regular thing for us. I won't go into detail because that's her private information. She has allowed me to discuss her anorexic journey, and I'm totally okay with talking about that because she's given me permission for that. But she does have another medical condition, and unfortunately it's not curable, and we have to have regular tests and surgeries and bits and pieces. So we're off to do bloods this morning, which is not her favourite thing on the planet to do. It's not mine either. Nobody likes holding their child while they get stuck with a needle. But it's got to be done, unfortunately. Alrighty. So, FYI, I will let you know before I change track. We do use Emla gel on her arms so that she doesn't feel the needle as much, but she still builds it up every single time, which, you know what, if she didn't, I'd think she was weird. Okay, so these are the cards that I've cut out. Now, I had a sort of seafoamy coloured blue. This is just an A4 size. I get these colour packs from Spotlight here in Australia, and they're just like the Recollections brand, and they're just £65 cardstock. So I decided to use the Uncharted Mariner in the Distress Oxide and just darken up the edges, just so it sort of matched in with the collection that little bit better, because even though the blue was there, it wasn't quite what I was after. I wanted it slightly darker. So by using the blue cardstock, it allowed me to use less ink, and it worked. And here I am thinking, yep, I'm done with the ink. Yep, not a problem. No, I'm not. I didn't do around the edge of the 12 by 12, did I? So my 12 by 12, I'm still using up some of my older pages out of my Creative Memories albums. So I'm still doing the 11.5 by 12. So this one's 11.5 by 12. But obviously the new pages are a true 12 by 12. So I won't have to keep doing that. Thank heavens. Okay, so now I've gone around my white page. Now it's at this point that I go, right. See, I think they look really cool just like that. So all I'm doing is just mounting these. And then what I ended up doing, so you can see what I've done. I've created 4 with a diagonal stripe. I've created 4 with a block stripe. I call that a block. Then I've done 4 with a herringbone pattern and 4 with the stripes going straight across the square. So I've got 4 different patterns, all created with a 1/4 inch strip onto a 2 by 2 inch square. Now this is where I put the pattern down. If you can see what I'm doing, so I put it in position 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then the next one went down in position 2, 3, 1 and 2, and that just made sense in my head to count it out that way. That way I'd never had any of the patterns right next to each other. And then I just pulled out my finger dobber and run around the outside edge of the photos because they needed to pop a little bit. So I did that and I'm loving how it's looking. It's super simple, it's clean, it's got everything that I wanted in it. Now, as you can see, I didn't line these up top and bottom. They're not lined up at all. So you don't have to worry about getting your ruler out and making sure that the ones at the very top are in line with the very bottom, because I wanted it to be not that way. I wanted it to be. So if you have a look and you see how it's all sort of lined up, and it's very much it's so pat. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love how this turned out. It's very quilting kind of thing. Now for my subscribers that have a heart attack that I sip water on top of my photos and layouts, it's okay. This is my water mister bottle. It's okay. It's not gonna leak anywhere. It's all good. I didn't use my paint pot this time, so I did listen to what you were saying last time I did it. Now what I'm doing is these butterflies are in the paper pad as well, and I wanted to use them, but I wanted them to have some glitter. So I pulled out my Ranger Stickles gel, glitter gel, and it's Moondust is the one that I used. And as you can see, I started cutting them out and then forgot I hadn't turned the camera on. So I did cut out a couple more on camera, but that's my ephemera, okay? If you're new to my channel, that's what I like to do rather than buying more ephemera, because I find that it just gets too overwhelming for me to see all of it, all the ephemera that matches, and I don't have enough. It just overwhelms me. It greatly overwhelms me when I do it, and I can't do it. So I did put a little tiny bit of blue in that centerpiece because that's where I'm going to put my title, and I knew that right from the beginning. So as you can see, I'm folding my butterflies over the tip of my tweezers just to fold their little wings up, and I'm only running a little strip of glue down their body so their wings will stay moving, I suppose is the best way to. I didn't put any foam tape under them or anything like that to keep them up, because when it goes in my album, I'm totally okay with them going flat. Apologies, there's my okay, so what else can I tell you? Oh, the did that. Okay, the white paper, the white cardstock that I used was 12 by 12 Poppy Craft white, white. See, I wrote shorthand last night, and now this morning it makes no sense to me. So it's not a textured cardstock. So I just grabbed my finger dobber because I needed it a little bit darker. So I just ran that across, and I actually like how that looks. It gives it a bit, it's kind of more the colour tone that is around the boxes. So once I do all that, it all comes together, and look how simple that is. I was wondering if I needed a little bit more of something. I was going to do the little zoomy lines behind the butterflies, but I think that just would have looked messy. So I just added a couple of little white dots in sets of 2, and you can see that when I zoom in, because this is the zoom in part, and you can see all the patterns. So if you can see, all 4 patterns are in a different position in each row going down. So you can see the herringbone there. That one is the quilting sort of pattern, and this is my layout. So thank you so much for watching. If you've stuck it out this long, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. If you aren't already a subscriber, please feel free to subscribe. I load up a new video every day except for Sundays. And if not, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.